How do you think we need to go about the development and the deploying of AI to prevent, though, some of these worst case scenarios that are possible but not inevitable?
Yeah. So the kind of thing that I was doing, I have been doing, and will continue to do in various ways, is to try to set up the best possible various networks of sharing thinking and research on, kind of and ideas on how to do that alignment the right way. And so, getting and to get that stuff in the hands of the frontier developers, and then to help accelerate the ones that are caring about security, alignment, and safety, and not accelerate the ones that don't care about it. And so, early days was, and it takes some trick. It's some difficult to do this because we're in a human society and everyone it has a lot of contention. So I think it's trivially obvious that we want all the frontier labs to be talking to each other about alignment. But the problem is that the frontier alignments are talking to each other. You get this other group of people who shows up and says, "You guys are just conspiring to divide the market in antitrust ways, and we're going to attack you for that." And so it's hard to get all of the frontier lab people in the same room. We have to like get a bunch of lawyers in the room who are listening and recording. Said we never talked about dividing the market. We never talked about pricing, et cetera, et cetera, is a way of doing it. That slows things down. I helped get the UK and the US AI Safety Institute set up as another way of establishing the network for, kind of talking about like, what are the ways you should build or not build AI? What are the things you should test on? What are the things that you should check before you release? What are the kinds of things that could go wrong and the kinds of things that you would try to do your best to navigate what is sufficiently good work in, as we're doing iterative development, because you can't, this is much more like inductive science than deductive science in terms of making this stuff work. And so I was, kind of building all these different networks. Then similarly, contributing ideas, because the ideas can be, like, for example, um, well, uh, what are all the ways that we can measure what alignment to good human condition are? And because this is like the philosophy part within symbolic systems, which is, kind of cognitive science and artificial intelligence within a particular lens of looking at it. And and how do you, blend in kind of what the theory of human betterment is, human nature, et cetera, in this, and what are the things where, kind of AI can be there? And that's part of, um, kind of the ways to kind of think about this. And then, of course, participating in, various public discussions, public media, why write Superagency, why do the podcast possible, other kinds of things as ways of doing this to try to get that dialogue because, and by the way, I love talking to um thoughtful critics. For example, Yuval Harari, who, gave me what I thought was one of the most fun book blurbs I've ever gotten, which is rough for Super Agency, which is roughly, I disagree with some of the main themes of this book, but I hope he's right. Right? And it's like, great. And so the uh so those kinds of things I think are the kinds of things to do here. And I'm always welcome to hear good ideas on helping shift that. And part of the thing that a lot of, you're in an academic institution, academics tend to not see is there's reasons why this is being built the way it is within the, kind of competitive commercial universe. And it isn't just commercial of company A versus company B in Silicon Valley, but, kind of globally around the world. Um, and your theory of change and the theory of action has to be how are we contributing effectively within the companies. And I don't, by the way, think it's a bad, I think it's a truth. I don't think it's a bad thing that the companies are building. I can think of far worse, it's like a militaristic project or something else as ways of doing this. But but it's we do it as a the way is that's the kind of the formal drive because of risk management, scale projects, commercial involvement and investment in it. Same way we got to kind of a prosperous society by having a diversified set of commercial interests, through capitalism as a way of doing this. And it's like, how do we influence those networks in and get the right thoughts and get them into the right hands for building the best things? And that's what I think the game looks like.